Globally, We Protect states that more than 300 million children across the world are victims of online sexual exploitation and abuse each year. We don't agree on much: left wing, right wing, vaxxed, unvaxxed, terrorist attack, inside job. But there's one truth that transcends everything else, even amongst convicts in prison. You just don't hurt kids. I didn't want to make this video. Doing research for it has made me feel physically sick. The subject is dark, but it deserves the brightest light. Child sexual abuse is the most taboo topic to talk about, and that creates a really dangerous paradox. There's nothing more evil than harming a child, and the thought of it is revolting to any moral person. But that discomfort helps the monsters who prey on kids operate mostly unbothered, while the victims often suffer in silence. These aren't isolated incidents. For decades now, little voices have been trying to tell us what was inside the Epstein files. Video footage of kids spanning across different decades and locations with no connection apart from the suffering that they were subjected to. Yet somehow, they all describe the same sick ceremonies with details that are just too similar and precise to be brushed off as some kind of made-up story. Remember, these kids are from different decades, different continents, no contact. From Germany in the 2000s to America in the 70s, Australia in the 80s to the UK in the 2010s. They all describe these rituals in vivid detail, from the robes that people in the room are wearing to a sacrificial child in the centre of the room, to more that I won't get into on here. There are literal support groups for these people, real support groups for survivors of satanic ritualistic abuse, real people who found each other because they survived the same unthinkable trauma. Here's what an Oscar-winning screenwriter just said on the world's biggest podcast.
So you think they're eating babies?
Oh yeah, I absolutely believe it. I don't doubt it for a second. And I think this dates back a long time. This is Moloch worship. I don't want to say names because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to be dead either. Mundus vult decepi, ergo decepiatur. It's a long-known concept, and so in Latin, mundus vult decepi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decepiatur. Therefore, it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
He's right. Psychologist Daniel Gilbert found that our brains automatically reject realities too disturbing to process. It's easier for us to believe something horrific can't be true than to accept and understand that it actually is. But then the files get released, and we have no choice but to pay attention. Millions of documents just blurted out, more than you could ever get through. One name leads to another, one horror leads to the next. No structure to it either, no index, just one huge nightmarish mess. And when you actually look through them, we've got FBI manuals on child molester behaviour just in there, books about excessive harm, conversations about Beelzebub, Lucifer, Testament of Solomon, references to witchcraft and animal sacrifice in Palm Beach that are now retracted. It's what's in the files and what's not explained. Look at this. It's a call transcript from November 2021 during Maxwell's trial with memory expert Gail Goodman. They're discussing how to challenge testimony in satanic ritualistic abuse cases, how to make a jury believe that a child wasn't actually subjected to that ritualistic satanic abuse. Children like this.
This couldn't be a terrible dream, a nightmare that you're reliving.
No. It's no dream. It's a nightmare, but it's not one you can wake up from.
We also took Teresa's story to this man, therapist Ray Wire. He reads a transcript of our interview and listens to her voice.
It's no dream.
Few people, if any, in Britain have counselled as many victims of satanic abuse or Satanists themselves as Ray Wire has. If there is an expert on satanic cults, it would have to be him.
Do you believe Teresa's story?
I believe Teresa's story. It's exactly the same story as I've heard from men who says they've done it.
You've dealt with other cases like hers?
Yes.
21 cases like hers, he says, in the past 2 years alone.
Themes like they were put in boxes with spiders and worms, where they were trapped in fear, where there was a high use of excrement and urine, where there was talk of human sacrifice.
They're not denying that it exists, they're strategizing about how to defend against it. All the while, there's still no arrests in America. This doesn't look like justice. Criminal cases require a jury to be convinced beyond all doubt. That's hard to do when your star witness isn't present. Anyone who worked beside him, above him, anyone he knew of who ran similar operations are all protected by his alleged death. The data tells us that he was just another cog in a dirty machine. In April 2025, child safety organisation Childlight wrote that child sexual exploitation and abuse is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Not was, is. Epstein had allegedly been dead for years by that point, but still, the machine kept ticking over.
The Jeffrey Epstein and the Ghislaine Maxwell operation in New York are, in my judgment, one of no less than 50 such operations. Many years ago, you had the Franklin scandal. These operations are in every single state of the Union and in every single country of the world.
And you might be wondering how? How does something like this operate at that scale? It's hidden in plain sight, sometimes inside the very institutions meant to protect children.
Most organizations that end up being used to prey on children, Oxfam is a recent example, all of the United Nations organizations, the Boy Scouts of America, all of the child services agencies across the United States of America, they did not start out as organizations to prey on children, but they attract pedophiles. And ultimately, pedophiles end up rising in the ranks and controlling those organizations, so that an organization that initially started out in the service of children becomes an organization that is in fact hunting children.
The infrastructure is already there, and while everyone's scrambling through Epstein's documents, getting lost and defeated inside there, it's business as usual. So what's really happening here? They want you focused on a closed case, an alleged dead man, believing justice was served. This is what they do so well: control consciousness. Control where millions of people look, what they think about, what they believe is real. We say pay attention. We say spend time. We say buy into an idea. Your consciousness is the most valuable currency, and we don't even realize it. Professor Zhang, who went to Yale with George Bush Jr., explained it like this.
Why do we have schools? Why do we have media? Why do we have the internet? And the point is to conjure the consciousness of everyone in order to manifest a reality that benefits the elite. And what's the purpose of this reality? Ultimately, the purpose of this reality is to extract energy from people, because that's the real wealth in the universe, right? If the entire universe is consciousness, then the real wealth is the capacity to direct and extract this consciousness and direct in a way that benefits you. Okay, and so another way of saying this is attention. Like, if you can direct people's attention, then you have all the power in the world.
Because whoever controls consciousness controls everything. This is Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice. This is her father, Robert Maxwell. He controlled one of the world's largest media publishing empires. Education textbooks, so what children learned. Major newspapers, so what adults consumed. Academic journals, so what got legitimized as knowledge. His publishing company, the one that shaped the way generations learned, felt and thought, he named it Pergamon. Pergamon is like this ancient ruined city in modern day Turkey. It's known as the throne of Satan. In satanic belief, God is purity. Children are as close as you can get to that. So to get as far from God as possible and as close to Satan as you can, you harm the most innocent. It's like a mockery of God and an offering to Satan. Put simply, the more they offer to Satan, the more they believe they get back. Money, control, power. You don't even have to believe in God yourself to understand that these people believe in Satan. Former elite banker turned whistleblower Ronald Bernard explains why he walked away.
The people I worked for in the end of the days, you're talking roughly about 8,500 people on this world who run the show.
But that has to take, like, there has to be a person or some group of people.
Yeah, like about 8,500 people.
And they are like who I was. Completely afraid, nearly dead, filling up the holes daily, never enough, serving the monster of greed, the monster of more. And there comes Lucifer in. Don't take this very light. My turning point was that I was so good in everything I did with my team that I was, in their opinion, ready for the last stage, to be invited in sacrifice of children. That hits me. That was really going through my bunker. I couldn't handle it. It was hitting me like hell.
Robert Maxwell named his consciousness-shaping empire after Satan's throne. Now you know why. He controlled consciousness through narrative, through education, through news, through publishing. Now he's been dead for decades, but the machine didn't stop. Today, they want you to believe it's all over. Epstein dead, Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, files released, story closed. Here's what's so clever about that. Any moral person would want to buy into it, especially after being overwhelmed, traumatized, exhausted by what's in those files. They're selling you a dream that Epstein was the top of the food chain and that there aren't others like him. And after being trauma dumped, you're begging for that comfortable lie. What could be more comforting than believing that Epstein was just one horrible, isolated case? Your attention was the prize. Millions of people, billions of hours, all focused on one alleged dead man. And while you were reading those files, children kept disappearing, survivors kept being ignored, the infrastructure kept running. The files were bait disguised as transparency. But there is light. Ronald Bernard, the elite banker who was invited to child sacrifice, he said no and walked away from ultimate power. Then there's the survivors forming support groups, finding each other after decades of being dismissed as satanic panic. Satanic ritualistic abuse, dismissed for decades. Robert Maxwell called them liars while naming his empire Satan's throne. You know what they say? The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing you that he doesn't exist. Well, in this case, it's convincing you that he's dead. Epstein, the final boss. Story closed. But it's not closed. It's still happening. And it's not so easy for them to operate in plain sight when we refuse to look away.